Good morning, afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name's Matt. I am the co-founder and CEO of Prefactor, and we are building the agential identity platform for the age of AI. What I'm going to show you today is how do you integrate Claude with your favorite design tool, Canva, via a remote MCP server, which Claude has released over the last month or so. Okie dokie. So what I'm going to start with is how do I even integrate this into Claude to begin with. Probably thinking, oh, this is going to involve a bunch of code. It doesn't. Claude has made this very, very easy to do. And as you can see, there's a bunch of other connectors that you could potentially use. I'm going to go with Canva today, and in future videos, we're going to look at other connectors. What's really key is when you set this up is just understanding what it can and can't do. All of us, when we're doing an integration, we typically just press yes, whether it's Google or whatever. But really understanding from the perspective of a software designer or developer, what is it that your users or your agents in this example can actually do is very, very key. A lot of people use RBAC, a lot of people are using authorization models, which are probably a bit outdated. And ultimately what MCP servers need to be able to do is define what tools and what activity each agent can and cannot take. Canva's is a fairly generic approach, but they do not allow you to delete stuff in actual designs. And so that is a very key limitation to what we're doing. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is a few things that Canva can do within the context of the Claude integration. So we're going to just allow that. And then essentially what it's going to show me is the top 3 designs. There's a couple of images in there. There's a white paper. And ultimately what we want it to be able to say next is, you know, it's acting like a helpful coworker to some degree. Now, it's not going to be that tough, but if you've got thousands of designs, and many of you will have, this is going to be pretty key and easy as part of your daily routine, logging into tools like Claude and ChatGPT to do your work. Okie dokie. What I'm going to show now is what happens when I try and do something which it doesn't like. So I wanted to delete all of my designs. And let's see what happens. What it's going to say is, I understood you want to delete, but you can't actually do it. And it just gives me a set of suggestions for how I can actually do that. Even though that delete function exists, Claude can't touch it. And the integration limits are enforced by Canva's MCP, not guesswork. So what it's to do now is just to try something which it doesn't quite know whether it can or it can't do, but we're going through our fundraise at the moment, our pre-seed fundraise, and I want it to share an investor deck with a freelance designer so they can improve our design. So asks a couple of questions, but then ultimately says it can't actually share those. So it's blocked. These aren't just API restrictions. These are coded rules that are enforced cryptographically via the MCP. Okay. So what we're going to do now is just ask it to explain that risk that I've been talking to you about. And so for those of you that are building SaaS apps that are part of organizations that are software vendors, you know, ultimately the key thing here is being able to ensure that you have a lot of these things covered, because you already have that for human authentication, authorization, and identity. This is something you think about a lot. It's the pain points. It's the thing that's going to get you on the front page of the newspaper. But ultimately what you want it to be able to prevent is overreach. We want to ensure that all of our data is protected, and very, very importantly, that it's all audited. Because if you've got 1,000 agents operating at speed every day, turning over millions and millions of actions, you need to know what's happening when. And the key thing here is not being able to just rely on what humans done, because ultimately agents today are relying on human delegation. And what in the near future we're going to have is agents that are operating autonomously and are operating at 1 million times a minute. So what other tools can Claude do? And so this is a really interesting one. People ask me this all the time. You know, what we're actually seeing today is that there are a lot of platforms that are the bigger players, the FANGs, etc., the Googles, the Slacks, that are building out functionality, which is great. And it enables people to just get involved, do it quickly, and operate. And essentially with these chatbots being kind of the core piece of what you're doing. But this is why we're building Prefactor. Now, Prefactor is not part of this authentication MCP layer today, but what we are doing is working with companies that need that layer. Is they're looking to the future. Their customers are asking them, how do we get agents using your platform? We offer scoped, revocable, testable access across environments, users, and agents. Because if agents are writing code, moving data, making decisions, you'd better know what they're allowed to do. Anyway, please get in touch. We are currently offering Prefactor for only $200 a month for either human authentication or MCP authentication, 50% off if you buy both. Please get in touch and please provide any feedback you might have. Thanks very much.